everybody. It's time for another edition of Ask Mike. Courtney Mims alongside Mike Irwin here. Mike, as always, got to do some housekeeping. You've probably heard me say this if you watched the episodes last week and the week before. Download our app, 479 First. You can find it on any TV, really, any smart TV, your Roku device, your Apple device, maybe your Amazon Fire Stick, all of those things. Search 479 First. And why I'm telling you to download this is because so many of you want to watch Ask Mike as soon as we record it, right? And you can. Monday at 7:30. Then you can watch a re-air of it after our shows that night at 10:30. So go download the app and you can watch Ask Mike before anybody else does. That's over on the 479 First app. Okay, our first question is from Waco Johnny Pig, who wants to know, how accurate is the SEC Media Days poll? It seems like they picked us to go backwards this season.
Yeah.
Well,
Arkansas finished 10th in the SEC last year, and they picked 14th.
Okay.
Now, I didn't look at this, but somebody told me there was a poll that was done before Media Days, and they were picked 12th. So evidently, whatever happened at Media Days, people went, you're going backwards. I went to Media Days about 20 straight years, and I finally said to the fine management at KNWA, Pigtail Trail Nation people, I don't want to do that anymore. It's driving me crazy. And so you get to do it now.
I do. I was there last week.
And I never one time voted in a media poll. And you know why I didn't vote in it? Because in order to vote in it, I felt like you had to know a lot about each team.
Yeah.
And there's just no way to do that.
Yeah.
There may be a few of these national writers or regional type writers that have to cover the whole conference and they've done their homework, and I take my hat off to somebody like that. But most people there are covering a certain team.
Right.
And they might be aware of some of the top players, a few of them on other teams, especially the good teams, Alabama, Georgia, Texas, or whatever. But they're not going to know much about a school like Arkansas or a school like Missouri, a school like Mississippi State. And that's where the poll is inaccurate. Why did Arkansas get picked 14th? Some of it, I think, was that a lot of those people left before Arkansas even talked, because Arkansas was in the afternoon of the last day. A lot of those people get tired, bored, got to go home, got airplane flights to catch, and so they're not even there.
Yeah,
on
and they
Thursday.
don't care about those teams on the last day.
They're not even there on Thursday afternoon. So whatever was said by Arkansas, whether it would have swayed some of these people or not, you could at least explain some of the reasons why why they think they're going to be better this year, not worse. But the bottom line is I wouldn't worry too much about that poll because it's wrong. If you go back and look at the poll year to year, here's what you'll find. Most years, if they picked Alabama, they're right.
Yeah, I have it. Do you want me to tell you about it? You want me to tell you how people finished?
Well, if they picked Alabama during the Nick Saban era, they were right.
Usually they were right. So you had last year that was right? You had 2023, they picked Georgia. It was Alabama who won it. And then you, obviously, if you go down 2022, 2021, 2020, 2019, 2018, you have it pretty much correct because people were picking Alabama for like 6 straight years. But then if you go back further than that, that's what's funny. In 2015, the media picked Auburn to win the SEC. They were 7th in the West.
That's right. That's bottom. That's the bottom of the West.
Yeah, so that was kind of interesting.
But you're just talking about who to win.
Right.
And they get that right generally. Most of the time, the poll with the top 2 or 3 teams, they'll get that correct.
Yeah.
Where they don't have a clue is once you get beyond that. One year they picked A&M to finish 2nd, and because there was a lot of hype about A&M is going to be a lot better this year, and they finished 7th in the West, bottom of the West. So it's just not accurate, and it's not accurate because it's dumb. It's dumb anyway. I don't know why they do it. Let's talk about what SEC Media Days really is, because it really is a thing that the conference does to what? To sell tickets for its teams. You're at a point, middle of July, where season ticket sales need to be topped off. If Arkansas is 15,000 short of selling out, you want to get those last 15,000 tickets sold, or any school like that. So you start hyping football, and everybody talks about it's going to be good, and when all the teams come and the coaches, and nobody says we're going to stink. They say we're going to be good, we're going to be better. So the idea is people watch that and go, wow, okay, I'm excited, I'm going to buy season tickets. That's what it's really all about.
Yeah, and for the media to go and have a good time and
Yeah.
meet with each other and party a
And
little
feel
bit.
important. And yeah, I'm a big important media person, but I just got tired of it. I'm not saying it's worthless. There are things, and we'll talk about some of the things that came out during this for Arkansas, but it's not a huge deal in terms of, boy, we're going to learn a lot. In fact, we're going to know so much after media days that we can accurately tell you who's going to win what. Not going to be that. So don't worry about the poll.
No, and we've said it so many times before. There are a lot of people that take that poll and, they pick their champion, right? But then the rest of them, they just go, whatever I feel.
And how many times when the season is over does somebody go, hey, let's go back and look at that preseason poll? They don't do that. Nobody cares by that time.
No, and the other thing too is I talk to so many people that genuinely it's become kind of a fun thing for some people in the media to vote for silly teams, right?
I've known that to happen.
Two people voted for Vanderbilt to win the SEC this year, right? And I talked to one of the people who voted for Vanderbilt to win the SEC, and I said, do you just do that to have fun? And they said, yeah, I just like to root for an underdog, give him some love.
So it's not a serious poll.
It really isn't. So don't pay any attention to it, Waco Johnny Pittman. Eddie Lynn says, Courtney and Cal think this revenue sharing plan is not what it's supposed to be. Apparently, Pittman, like you, thinks it will level the playing field for our football team. Explain why you think he's right and let Courtney tell us why he's wrong.
Well, first of all, I'm not going to do that because I'm not sure anymore.
You've come over to the dark side.
Well, not completely, but I'm willing to admit I'm not sure now.
Okay.
And it's because there are too many coaches who are, every week a new one will pop up, and they're just not sure what this really means. They're not sure about lawsuits. They're not sure that the SEC is pushing this new thing where they're going to change and go back to allowing more NIL, and nobody knows where it's headed. What Pittman said, in effect, and you have to understand the context of when he said this, because he was asked, what is it like every year when you come here and your job, everybody thinks you're going to be fired?
Yeah.
And he said this before. He said, it doesn't bother me because I don't think I'm going to be fired. But what he said this time was, it affects our recruiting. And he said, the proof of that is we've recruited really well out of state this year. Our in-state recruiting stinks. And he said, it's our own fans that are doing this.
Wow.
They're getting on the internet every day and bad-mouthing us. And that hurts us. So naturally, when you're dealing with a situation like that, there's going to be negativity. People are going to think you're not going to be very good. And he was there basically saying, we're a lot better. And here's why he's saying we're better. And then he talked about the future. And that's when he said, revenue sharing is going to solve the other big problem we had. He said, we got two big problems. Our own fan base is causing negative recruiting problems in state. And then he said, the lack of, we're competing against schools that have all kinds of NIL money that we don't have. Yeah. And so we're forced to go after the 3-star guys and try to find people that we think should be 4 stars. And I think they've done a good job of that. Andrew Armstrong is a perfect example of that. Yeah. So we've had to do that where all these other schools can just throw money at them and get who they want. We talked about how LSU does that in baseball. What he said is now with revenue sharing, there's going to be a cap. He said it's going to level the playing field, and he said, watch what happens to us now. The future is really bright. So is he right about that? I don't know. Does he really believe that? Is he just saying that? Is there some indication that maybe he is right? I mean, all I'm saying is, ask me a year from now, because I want to see how this develops.
I just like that we brought you over to the dark side.
I'm not brought over, but I'm willing to admit that maybe this won't work. Because there are people that said I was talking to a guy the other day, said they've created a bigger mess. Yeah. Because what they've really done now is they've made sure that schools have to pay just about everybody, all the players. Yep. So even even the second team offensive linemen may get some money. Well, they
Right.
didn't have to before. And then
Right.
they're going to still do the NIL. So the players are just getting more and more of this money.
Right.
And everybody else is getting less. You've got
Right.
less money for facilities. You've got less money for
Correct.
staffers. Coaches may
Correct.
have to start taking less.
Yeah.
So what are we doing? Are we really allowing the players to take over this whole thing?
And again, I talk about what I've said before on the show for Eddie Lynn, who says argue why I think he's wrong, is because the judge even put it down.
Mm-hmm.
The judge even said she knows that this isn't the end all be all, and that what she has ruled may not pass antitrust laws, that it may not even be totally legal.
Somewhere in all of this, somebody's got to acknowledge that these are not adult people with full-time jobs. They're
Right.
going to school.
Right, but this is why I bring up on this show so many times, and I don't want to die on this hill. You guys know how I feel about this, making them employees of the university, and so many people are against that. I get that. I totally understand that. But when you do that, you allow them to create contracts, create a CBA, and turn them into more professional athletes, right? Which is where this is heading to. And so if you want to protect college athletics, that's a way that I think maybe you
I don't have any problem with the players getting a better deal than they had before. But this has gotten ridiculous.
It has.
It's going to get to the point where nobody can afford this.
Correct.
Including the people that pay for it, which is the fans.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
What happens when they say, I don't want to pay for this anymore? You want more money out of me? I'm not giving it to you.
What you're going to see is it's going to be a collapse of college athletics. You hope it doesn't get there. You hope it doesn't, because it's going to affect.
They've got to get this right.
Right, and it's not going to affect. I'll tell you, it's not going to affect Arkansas football. I'll tell you what it's going to affect. It's going to affect the smaller sports. You're going to start to see smaller sports go away. You're going to start to see the smaller schools that have football teams go away. You're going to start to see those athletic programs die. And I know there are people who are alumni of those programs that don't want to see those programs die.
Absolutely not.
I don't want to see those programs die. And so this has to get fixed. I just don't know if revenue sharing is the end all
So we
be all.
agree on that then. We don't know. We don't know. Okay, that was a lot of talking there. All right, we're going to take a short break, but when we get back, we're going to talk so much more about media days. Talon Green a little bit, what he had to say at media days. That's coming up right after the break. Welcome back to another edition of Ask Mike. We've just been talking about revenue sharing and SEC Media Days before the break. We're going to continue with our SEC Media Days talk. Coming up right now, as Hog Redneck says, there's a boatload of folks sleeping on Talon Green, including the SEC media. That kid was a raw talent last season. Year 2 under Petrino, going to be a different ball game. He was impressive in Atlanta, Mike. Yeah, I think he was. Let me tell you what I liked about what he said. What I liked was he said a year ago at this, and he really meant about a year and a half ago when he first came to Arkansas. He said, last season, when I got to Arkansas, my attitude about a game was, I'm just going to go out and play as good as I possibly can. He said, the difference between me then and me now is that I understand now all the things that my coach goes through to prepare for a game. I understand every part of the game plan. I know what he has to deal with on every part of the game plan. And guess what? I now have to do all of that myself. What he knows, I have to know. I didn't know it last year. I'm going to know it this year. So if he's right about that, he's going to make a lot smarter decisions. He's not just going to be reacting, oh, I guess I better take off and run. Maybe there's a design play where, oh, that guy did pop open because we read that defense correctly and called the right play, and yeah, there he is. Yeah. So I want to see evidence of that, but it sure sounded good. Now let me tell you what didn't sound good.
Oh, no, okay.
He put on some extra weight, upper body. He looks stronger.
Yeah.
And he's walking around, and we can see that.
Yes.
He's going from room to room.
He did look stronger. He
looks
good.
bigger and stronger. So he was asked about that. And he basically went into some stuff about, yeah, I'm better able to truck linebackers now.
Mike, he's just giving a good sound
Yeah,
bite.
maybe,
Oh,
but I don't know. It sounded like to me that this extra weight is giving him more confidence to run into people. Let me just tell you this. And maybe he was kidding. Don't kid about that.
Okay.
Because if there's one thing that can derail this season is him getting hurt.
For sure.
He doesn't need to get hurt. And Pittman even said, and he didn't say this last year, he said he was hurt for about 80% of the season.
And he was. He admitted that to us in the breakout room.
So
yes.
he got hurt a lot earlier than we thought. Therefore, a lot of what he did was affected by his injury.
Yeah.
And we didn't even know that.
Well,
and he still had a great year.
And I'll say this. I don't know if you watched our breakout room interview that I did with Talon, but he addressed that. He talked about that because somebody had asked him when I was interviewing him, do you think you'll have more design run plays this year with you being healthy, right? And he kind of said, look, he said, I know that Pittman and Petrino are going to do what's best for me, and especially making sure that I'm protecting my body. He did say that. He did say that. So that's why I think it was more of a, he's trying to be flashy a bit.
All
with
I'm
the
saying
soundbite.
is, yes, you can't completely take away his ability to react when he gets under press.
No.
They come with a heavy pass rush. He's got to peel out and go somewhere. That's fine. Get around the corner. Go as far as you can. But when there's a linebacker coming, do not run into that guy.
I don't think he's
Go
going
to the
to.
ground.
I don't think he's going to run into him like that. I think that was
Well, he
just
did that
for,
last year.
I know, but I think that was just for a fun soundbite. I could be wrong.
That's
if he
what I
does
want
that,
to see. I want to see him being more careful.
I do too. And I will hype this up too. Hog Redneck says there's a lot of people sleeping on him. I think a lot of people are sleeping on how much work he's put in the offseason as well. Because I asked him, the virtual reality that Jaden Daniels uses all the time to better his game? I had asked Talon about getting that technology. He goes, well, you're exactly right. I talked to Jaden Daniels about it, and he told me all the ways it helped him, how much it helped his game. And now I said to Pittman and Petrino, can we get this for me? Because I think this is really
They had it at one time at Arkansas.
No, they didn't. This is the first time they've had it. And so he said, can we get this? Can we get this? And they said, of course we can. Of course we can. So now he's gotten that technology, and he's using that technology. And it only helped Jaden Daniels. It's only helped other quarterbacks as well. And so he thinks he's used that technology.
Well, they had some
as
version
well.
of that several years ago. It
They
was a
might
thing where you
have.
put this
A headset on?
Yeah, you put this headset on and it shows stuff coming at you and you're reacting and all this
All
stuff.
right. Well, this is brand new. This
Okay,
is the stuff in
it's probably more
technology.
sophisticated, but I'm surprised they didn't have it.
Yeah. I mean, and he said all it's done is increase his confidence. He's feeling like he's much more confident now than he was in year one, and that can only help you. So we're going to talk a little bit more about SEC Media Days. S. Giles says, I saw your analysis of Media Days on the new internet website you guys have. The new internet website we guys have. So you watched 479 first. Thank you. Thank you for watching 479 first. Story went off on fans attacking Pittman, saying attacking him is the same as attacking them. Sounds like the players are really mad about it, Mike.
Well, I was impressed by the fact that he didn't get asked that specific question. He was asked another question about, what do you think of your coach? And then he said a lot of really good things about Pittman, and he said most people have no idea what he's really like. He started off saying that. You don't understand how good he is with us and how much we appreciate him. Yeah. But then he ended up saying, we're taking it personal now when you attack our coach. He didn't say this, but he was talking to Arkansas's own fans because nobody's doing that elsewhere. They don't care. I mean, Alabama fans don't care about this. He was saying it to Arkansas's own fans. If you attack him, you're attacking us, and we take that personally, and we're going to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
So hopefully there's some motivation there.
They clearly, I'll say this, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. This is not me standing up for Pittman or being a Pittman sympathizer or anything like that. When you talk to those players and you talk to incoming recruits, they tell you one thing. They like Pittman. They think he's a player's coach. They really do like playing for him.
Why do you think they've recruited so well out of state? Because those players come in here on recruiting visits and they don't know about all this negativity.
No.
And they're just judging Arkansas by what they see.
And when I ask them, why did you choose Arkansas? They can say anything, right?
Yes.
You know what the number one thing that comes out of their mouths is? The coaching staff.
Yeah.
They usually talk about the position group coach, so whether it's Travis Williams or whether it's Deke Adams or whoever it is, but then they'll talk about Pittman. And they talk about Pittman just being so kind and so welcoming and making them feel like it was home and all of this stuff.
Look, I've been around coaches that weren't respected by the players. Chad Morris, you could tell the players didn't like him.
Yeah.
This is not that. And you can sit here and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about if you're some internet hater, because we get attacked in the media if we defend him at all.
All the time.
But I'm just telling you that when you go over there and talk to those players, I'm not stupid. When I talk to players, I know how they feel about somebody.
Yeah.
And this has been going on for a while now. They like this guy.
And they don't have to, you guys don't understand. When we ask the recruits, why did you come to Arkansas? You can literally say anything you want. You don't have to say, I like Sam Pittman or blah, 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 blah. They choose to say that and they choose to talk about him because that's one of the reasons they chose.
But it's the out-of-state players that don't know about all this negativity, and the in-state players are going somewhere else.
That's true.
So I hope you're having fun out there wanting Sam Pittman fired because you're sending all the good in-state guys somewhere else.
Is it those same people that are also saying, why are we losing so many in-state recruits? Why are we losing so many in-state recruits?
It's almost political is what it is. It reminds me of national politics, just everybody yapping at each other.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about Talon Green, because PHAT, or
Fat,
I think that's what he wants his name to be called. Hogs receivers may be lacking experience. Do you think Coach Petrino will change Talon's passing targets with more passes to the running backs?
No, I don't think he's going to change. He's always thrown to everybody, and he'll throw some. He likes running backs that can catch passes, so they will. There was some indication from Sam Pittman that they may be throwing more to the tight ends because they like their tight ends this year, but do more running plays because they like the balance. They can block and they can catch. But what Pittman basically did when he was asked all of this is he said, and it came about as a result of this of CC being hurt, and that came out during media days. That was another thing we learned, is he's out for the year. And so the question was, well, if he was your best guy in the spring, what do you do? So he named off several other. We got a lot of options, and they do. They did overkill with receivers, trying to make sure they've got the right guys.
Well, maybe that was a good thing with
But
one going
then
down.
what did he do? Without being prompted, he mentioned Antonio Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
Now he's my favorite subject, and here's why. Because he's 6'6" and weighs 230 pounds. He's bigger than Arkansas's tight ends. Or do you understand that? But he's a receiver, and he's quick, and he's got good hands. So why was he a 3-star out of high school? Because he didn't go to any camps. He didn't care about any other school recruiting him. Arkansas offered him, and he went, I'm going there. That's all he needed.
We were trying to find video of him the other day,
We
and
don't have any.
you asked Jacob, why don't we have any video of this guy? And he goes, he doesn't even have a huddle, Mike. He doesn't even have a huddle video or anything.
Nothing. He doesn't care. The minute Arkansas offered him, he said, I'm coming, and he shut everything else down. So he's a 3-star, but he's not a 3-star.
I know.
But I had not seen him or heard anything about him at Arkansas, so I didn't know. And here's Pittman, and here's what he didn't say. He didn't say, oh, you know, he's learning. Oh, he's new. He's got a ways to go, but.
Well, he wasn't here in spring. He wasn't here.
But this is what you typically say of a guy that's very raw.
Right.
He's a great talent, but it may take a while. He didn't say any of these things coaches say about a new player.
Yeah.
He said he's a very special talent. He's an elite talent. That's what he said. He's an elite talent, and he said he's going to help us. So I want to see him. Now I got to go over there.
Baby. Fall camp.
Because if you know what the other receivers from Warren did for Bobby Petrino, you're just going, ooh, boy, I want to see this. He may be the best one of them all. He's taller and bigger than any of them.
You said to Jacob as well when fall camp starts, and I believe it starts on August 1st, I believe, for the Razorbacks. I believe that's when it begins. I'll have to double check. But you said to Jacob, you said, I'm just going to send you out there with one camera, and you're just going to film this guy. You're just going to get all the film. That's all you do is just film this guy, get all the footage of this guy.
We want to see him anyway. I mean, he may not be what we think he is. I mean, I can't say because I haven't seen him.
You haven't seen much of him,
But I know what Pittman said. I don't think he would have said that if he wasn't really lighting up some things over there this summer.
Oh, absolutely. We'll see what he does this fall. Okay. We're going to take another short break, but when we get back, we are going to answer a bit more, kind of a mixed bag about some other SEC teams and some other things going on as well. Got questions about Eli Drinkowitz as well. Ooh.
Dinky.
Ooh, Dinkiewicz. All right. We'll have those questions when we get back after the break. Welcome back to another edition of Ask Mike. Courtney Mims alongside Mike Irwin here. Mike, we're going to jump back in. We've got some Missouri football questions, okay? A couple here this week. CowHog32 asks, how does Missouri keep getting 5 or 6 straight home games against mostly cupcakes to start their season? Well, we have to continue to have only 1 or 2 true home games in the first half of each season.
Yeah, should the SEC try to mix it up from year to year? Probably not going to like this answer, but part of this is Arkansas's own fault. Why are you playing games in Memphis if you've got a problem? I mean, where did Arkansas, what was one of their non-conference games last year? Where was it played? Do you remember? Early on?
Early
Oklahoma
on.
State?
Yeah, Oklahoma State. Yeah, it was
Okay.
Oklahoma State, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or was that 2 years ago?
No, that was last year.
Okay.
It was Oklahoma State. And then I was thinking.
And they went to BYU.
BYU, they had the
Arkansas is
home-
always going on the road and playing somebody like that.
And tough competition, too, so.
Well, Missouri does that a little bit, but part of what Missouri's schedule is this year is like they're playing Kansas, but they're getting them at home. I assume they'll have to return the favor, and it'll be a road game next year, or at some point you have to return the game. Part of the problem here is Little Rock. Most fans don't consider that a home game. It's certainly not a road game, but it's not the same as a home game.
And Sam sounded like at media days he doesn't want to do that anymore.
Well,
it sounds
he
like
said
he's done.
He said something new I'd never heard. He sounded like it was up to the governor.
Yeah.
Like she was going to decide.
Yeah, that
Sarah
was
Huckabee
kinda
Sanders
weird.
was going to decide whether the games continue at War Memorial.
But he's not about it. He
wasn't
that
about
clear.
playing Arkansas State there.
Right.
And
I'm saying at War Memorial, yes.
And there was a lot of talk about, hey, you didn't even sell your own allotment. Arkansas State's wanted this game for 50 years, and they finally got it, and they've got a 10,000-seat allotment, and they haven't sold it out. Well, then their fans were coming back and saying, excuse me, I didn't realize that we had to be responsible for selling out War Memorial. That's your job. So they're going back and forth at each other.
Okay. All right.
But the point is, as long as you're playing that game, and as long as you're going to go on the road and play non-conference games, you get what you get. Now, this year, it is true that their first 2 SEC games are on the road.
Right.
Okay, but that's not always the case.
No.
Last year, they played their first non-conference game on the road, and then they had 2 more at home.
Yeah.
And so, it's that way with Missouri. If you look at these things, if you just look one year, you're going to say this isn't right, this isn't fair. But if you went back and looked at every year, the SEC's got to match all this stuff up. And you're never going to get what you want all the time. My guess is if we look at Missouri's schedule next year, it is true. Half their season is at home to open the season. They play 6 straight games at home. That's half of the 12-game season.
Yeah.
So good for them. I guess it works. But part of what it is they don't have an equivalent of going to Little Rock.
No.
They play all their home games at home.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that their non-conference game that they do a home and home is at home this year.
Yeah, it's Kansas, and they're playing them in Columbia,
so
right?
I just don't think anybody's out to screw Arkansas here. I think it just works out that way. It will help if you stop playing games in Little Rock. And I loved Little Rock for years, but the time has passed on that. So play them at home, and a home game is a home game, and then you got to decide if you want to play these road games, non-conference road games.
And schedule really, really tough teams for a home.
I personally think that they've made a mistake for the last 3 or 4 years over scheduling their non-conference games. They need to win games right now, and Missouri doesn't do that. They schedule teams they can beat, and that's smart, in my opinion.
Yeah. There's other teams that do that as well. I mean, people talk about Indiana's schedule, and you're like, well, part of that is because who they're scheduling, guys.
So you know, as a fan, you want to complain because you want tougher non-conference games, but then you get mad because you lose. Give me a break.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mike, and especially what will help is not doing a game in Little Rock. And I love Little Rock too. Don't get me wrong.
We all do, but
sorry.
that ship has sailed unless Sarah Huckabee Sanders says it hasn't.
Yeah, I want to ask him about that. I want to know more about that situation. That was very interesting he said that, but also that he was against it as well. I thought that was interesting too. Marty Bird's Proxy wants to know, is there an overall sense of apathy around the upcoming football season? Just not the normal buzz? Of course, nothing creates buzz like wins.
Well, I mean, that's part of it, absolutely. I mean, if you're coming off a 9-win season, there's going to be a buzz. Okay, do I notice that there's lack of a buzz this year? There has been a lack of a buzz for 3 or 4 years now. You know, they had the one year that Pittman won 9 games and everybody was excited the next year, but for the most part, ever since Petrino had his motorcycle accident, there hasn't been a lot of buzz. So
well, last year at Media Days, you remember what we talked about last year at Media Days? How most people, when I came on their radio shows all over the country and talked about Arkansas, they didn't want to ask about Arkansas football. They wanted to ask about Arkansas basketball and Coach Calipari. What happened this time around, Mike? I get asked to be on national shows and I talk about things. I didn't talk about Arkansas football. I had like maybe 1 or 2 questions about Arkansas football. I talked about Arkansas basketball to no fail.
Here's the bottom line. There may not be a buzz, but I promise you the Notre Dame game, it's going to be full.
Yeah.
Bigger home games are going to be full. Yeah. And then depending on how they play, if they get things going, more people will be there. So I don't think there's a big change. If anything, there ought to be more of a buzz this year because they're coming off a bowl win against a good team. You know, Texas Tech was a good bowl opponent. It wasn't just some phony baloney bowl win. So there should be more of a buzz this year, but there's probably not. And it goes back to what I said before. Arkansas's own fans, and it's not the whole fan base. It's the internet people, and everybody seems to think the internet is everything. It's a group of people that get into one place. I hate to go off into politics, but if you want to feel good about our country, don't read Twitter or X, because you got people on the right and people on the left making stuff up and creating crazy stuff, and they're just jabbering at each other back and forth, jabber, 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 jabber. It reminds me of walking into a high school and two factions are just going at each other and they're both crazy. So that's not Arkansas's fan base. That's certain fans jabbering back and forth and living in their own little zone and saying, yeah, Arkansas stinks, Sam Pittman's terrible, they should have got to fire Hunter Yurchek, got to fire Sam Pittman, and it just goes on and on and on and on, and they're not going to, I don't know. One of two things are going to have to happen to stop this. Either Pittman's going to have to win big, like 9 or 10 games, or he's going to have to be fired. One or the other, that'll shut him up for at least a while.
Well, and I think you're exactly right. But Sam Pittman said that at Media Days. He said, how do I stop people from, talking about me on the hot seat? And how do I stop people from, affecting our recruiting with that talk? He said, win. We've got to win. And so he recognizes that as well. I do agree that with Marty Bird's Proxy, it's just not a lot of buzz. There's not. I mean, there's more people wanting to know about Coach Cal's team and just, talk about move past football and go to basketball.
Right.
I just can't stop that. That's happening right now. J Hogg wants to know, when the dust settles on the CFP, will we stay at 12 teams, Mike, or will we expand to 16? I would prefer the 16-team model because it gives Arkansas a better chance to make it when we have a 9 or 10 win season. Which model would you prefer, Mike? I know.
Are you kidding me? If you said 16, I'd go, I prefer that model. If you said 18, I'd say I prefer that model. If you said 24, I would prefer that model. I like more people in the playoffs.
More people in the playoffs, more games, more excitement. You know who you sound like right there?
Dinky.
Yeah. Can I go into the next question? Because it leads in so perfectly, and we can talk about why you like this, because Lanny says, I know you don't like Dinkowitz, but you two guys are on the same page when it comes to the playoffs. He wants 30 games, and you mentioned 32 teams a while back. You did, Mike. The reaction to his plan has been mostly negative, but that's because people don't understand his plan. He did talk about that a little bit when we were passing, in the hallway.
He's coaching in a place like Missouri. And Arkansas is similar to that, and there are others, Mississippi State. Put yourself in the shoes of those fans who sit there every year and don't even have they're not even thinking about the possibility of being in the playoffs. You can't just expect people to exist like that forever. You got to give them hope. Even if they don't make the playoffs, if you expand it, it's out there. There's a chance. And that's what I'm saying. This isn't a participation thing to me, trophy. you can play bad and still get in. That's not it. It's about giving more opportunities and allowing fans of some teams to, when the season starts, to say, you know, we might be good enough to get to, if it's a 32-16 or a 32-team playoff or something. If there's 6-7 teams from the SEC, your team might be one of those 7 teams. Why is that a problem? I mean, I keep hearing, well, they're not any good and they won't win anyway. Yes, sooner or later they will. You'll get upsets, I promise you.
Well, and I'll say this to his model. I was intrigued to hear when he explained it a little bit more why he actually brought this up and why he wanted it to be expanded, because he says, why don't you let our play on the field decide who gets into the playoffs rather than a committee, right?
Oh, that's the other part of it, absolutely. Take it completely away from them.
Exactly.
You don't have a committee in high school deciding who makes the state playoffs. Any state you want to name, they don't have a committee going there, okay, this team gets in, yeah, let's have lunch now and talk about it this afternoon. They don't do that. They only do it in college stupid football where you get a bunch of meatballs, get in there and decide who gets in. I don't want those meatballs out of it. You have a formula based on the number of wins and a bunch of other parameters, and you get in based on a formula, not something that a bunch of people sitting around eating tacos and talking about what they're...
And so what he said was to take that weekend of the championship games, right? Instead of doing those, you have basically play-in games, right? And these teams are playing in to get into the college football playoff was kind of his reasoning. And I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all, saying, hey, we'll take the teams that were ranked in that top 25 at the end of the year, and we'll put them in, and we'll say play in for that way you're literally having an opportunity to say, we're going to play to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, well, the point is he's right, and I don't have any problem with saying he's right.
Okay,
you know,
wow. That's big of you, Mike.
Well, I mean, he's right, he's right.
I wonder if he's listening. If you're listening, Coach
Strickland. Listen to this.
He might, you never know. All right. When we get back, we have some really fun questions. A couple of baseball ones about the MLB Draft. We talk about the damage that was done for Arkansas, or lack of damage that was done for Arkansas, whichever way you want to look at it. And then we'll talk a little bit about some other things coming up after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to another edition of Ask Mike. Courtney Mims alongside Mike Irwin here. Mike, we're going to finish off with some fun questions, I think, today, excuse me. BMG44 asks, over the years, who were some of the best recruiters you have seen from football and basketball at Arkansas? I remember when Batman Carroll was being recruited and they had a Batmobile on campus during his visit. That's awesome.
Yeah. Gimmicks work sometimes, but generally that's not what has sold a player coming. It's the things we've already talked about. You like the campus, you're surprised by Northwest Arkansas, you feel comfortable here. That's what gets people here, not gimmicks. You like the coaching staff, you like the players, you like the facilities, all these things that were traditional things about recruiting. Now, if you go all the way back to my first year when I got here, I would say Frank Broyles obviously was a good recruiter, but he had Bo Ryan on his staff. He was an offensive coordinator. He was a really good recruiter. Jimmy Johnson, come on. He may be one of the best recruiters of all time, and he was on that staff at Arkansas. Also, Harold Horton. People don't remember, maybe some of them, that he was a coach here when Broyles was here. Harold Horton, when Lou came in, he went to UCA, and he won 2 NAIA national championships largely on his recruiting and coaching ability. So Harold Horton was a good recruiter. Basketball, when I first got here, Eddie Sutton era was already 1 year in progress, but Sutton could recruit. He had Pat Foster and he had Gene Cady, and all 3 of those guys helped rebuild Arkansas basketball into what it became, and it's essentially stayed that way ever since. There have been a few bad years, but mostly, and it all started with Eddie Sutton, Pat Foster, and Gene Cady. Lou Holtz comes along after Frank. Lou was not a good recruiter. He's a jerk. He's hard to deal with. Look, I knew people that my own ex-brother-in-law was recruited by him. He said he was horrible. He said terrible things like, if you don't want to come to my school, then I don't want you anyway, and just things like that. And a lot of it was that Lou didn't get much sleep. He was walking around mad all the time, and you know, if you if you watch him lately on TV, he's pretty funny because I guess he's sleeping more these days. but he's not mean and nasty like he used to be. But the fact is, he could recruit. It just he himself wasn't a recruiter. What got players here was his reputation of being an X's and O's guy and a play caller, and he was about as good as there was in that respect. And he also had Don Bro and Monty Kiffin on his staff, and both of them were good recruiters.
Right.
Later on, Danny Ford, probably one of the best true recruiters that I've ever seen. He just didn't like being here. He was never comfortable here, and his staff wasn't very good. But he himself landed some pretty good players while he was here. And he just got kind of overlooked. But that guy was a heck of a recruiter. There were stories about him going on. He'd go off for like 2 weeks on a recruiting trip and just be gone. And then when he came back, all of a sudden you had a bunch of players committed. He knew how to go into a mama's home and convince the mama and the daddy, yeah, I want your son to come to Arkansas, and he could do it. So Danny Ford was a good recruiter. Nolan was one of the best recruiters I've ever seen, and he had assistants, but he did most of the recruiting himself. And he could coach, but he didn't win all the national championship, the national runner-up, and 3 Final Fours. He didn't do all that stuff just because he could coach. He did it because he recruited, too.
Oh, yeah. He's fabulous.
So he was a really good recruiter. And then Dave Van Horn, come on. I mean, he's one of the best recruiters ever of all time. I'm just telling you, he just,
all time.
I mean, when this thing plays out this year of what's going on with his baseball team and all the people he lost and how he's already got most of them replaced, he just has a plan for everything.
Yeah.
So Van Horn is a heck of a recruiter. And then let's talk about Sam Pittman. Underrated as a recruiter. I think when he gets outside this state, he recruits really well.
Okay.
I think where he's good at recruiting is he can find and go talk to anybody that knows about recruiting. He can find a 3-star that's really a 4-star. He can find a 4-star that's really a 5-star. You know, he can find those guys. And I think Travis Williams can do that too.
Oh, yeah.
So
I think Travis Williams is as a recruiter.
If people really understood the hole they've been in because they don't have the NIL money that some of these other schools and what they actually did, this could have been way worse than it is, I promise you. Everybody's all mad and everything. They had 1 year where they had a losing record. But other than that, he's been to a bowl game every year.
What's what impresses me about Dave Van Horn is just when you hear about just how much NIL money they've had compared to other programs, and you go, wow, how are you able to bring some of the top talent here? And it's purely based off of him being a good recruiter. You didn't mention someone there, and I'm surprised you didn't. Arkansas landed one of the best recruiters in college basketball, and Coach Calipari. I think you got to put him in the list, right? I mean, oh my goodness,
He's only been here this is his second year. But
I feel like you could still put him on the list.
Well, he's always been a top recruiter.
Well, yeah.
That's no shock to anybody.
No, I know, but he's still, he's still one of the best recruiters you've seen for basketball.
A question like that, I would tend to mention Cal if he were gone or if he'd been here. I'm mentioning mostly people that have been here, talking about Sam Pittman some, but yes, you're right.
Travis Williams,
Cal is a great recruiter.
I'm going to add him into the list because I'll be honest with you guys. You know, over the years,
he may be the best recruiter that Arkansas has ever had.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I think you have to put him in the list.
But he's just getting started here.
Right, but still got to put him on the list. Still got to put him on the list because he's one of the best recruiters in college basketball, possibly the best recruiter in all of college basketball. Okay, Dr. Strangefork says MLB Draft is over. So what's the damage or damages? Anything unusual or shocking about the draft, Mike?
I don't think there was anything shocking. Vahivo Aloy, the College Player of the Year, Golden Spikes winner.
Nothing shocking.
I didn't think that was shocking.
No, well, not him dropping. No, but I was saying about Landon Schaefer coming to the Hogs. That was pretty shocking.
Well, okay.
Oh, I thought he was going to go the draft. I mean, he was a highly touted prospect.
Well, again, shocking. I just think it was a pleasant surprise. I wouldn't say I was shocked by it. I wasn't shocked by Aloy going next to the last in the first round. You know, there was just nothing that in this draft that I went, whoa, boy, that's really weird. Now, one of the surprises has been all the guys that got drafted toward the end of the whole thing, and you had a whole bunch of them, and it looks like a bunch of them are gone.
Yeah.
And that was a little bit of a surprise, but Dave Van Horn pretty much has an answer for all of those things. So, you know, Aloy, he ends up getting $3 million. Gage Wood went 26th, so he went ahead of Aloy, was 31st. I don't think he's got a contract yet. I don't think he's signed.
As of right now, I looked on everything and he hasn't, but that could be. I saw a bunch of guys signing today, a bunch of pictures of guys actually inking with their teams, so he may sign after.
Okay, damages. You want to know damages? The Ball State shortstop, Dylan Grego, he was drafted 13th by San Diego, and he's gone. Okay, so you lost your shortstop, but then you got your shortstop, Landon Schaefer, that you mentioned.
Well, yeah.
And he's coming to school. So if he can play as a true freshman, you got your shortstop. So he's gone. But then Texas Tech, this T.J. Pompey, I don't think, it's Pompey, right?
Yeah, Pompey.
Not
Pompey. I think it is.
T.J.
Yeah,
Pompey, he was an outstanding portal get. He could play shortstop, but he could also be that third base to replace, you know, Arkansas lost their third baseman, so he might be there. Arkansas lost some pitchers that they would have liked to have kept. Christian Fouch, Aiden Jimenez, Ben Bybee, Parker Coyle. I don't know that any of them have signed yet.
Ben Bybee has, Parker Coyle has signed, Christian Fouch, I want to say, is signed. I think Aiden is signed too. I definitely saw Ben Bybee and Parker Coyle.
Yeah, I didn't check all that, but they were all expected to be gone.
Yeah.
So that sounds bad. However, look who they have coming back. Gabe Gackle, Cole Gibbler, Carson Wiggins. That could be your weekend SEC rotation right there. And then Ryder Helfrich. We've talked about that. You got the best catcher in college baseball coming back. He may be a Golden Spikes guy. You got Cam Kozel at second. Kahio Aloy could.
Ooh, Kahio Aloy. He is having a summer, isn't he?
He is. And he won the home run hitting contest.
Yep. Yeah.
And what was that? Was that the Wood Bat League?
It was the Cape Cod League. Wasn't it the Cape Cod League?
That's Wood Bat, right?
Oh, well, yeah, I believe so, yeah.
So he won that. And there's talk that he may end up being, now they lost all of their outfilders, but Van Horn's already brought in 2 really good transfer guys that can hit. Combined, their numbers are astounding, the home runs and batting average and all that. And they're good defensive players. But Aloy could end up being that third outfielder. So, and then Robinett's back at first, I think. And so.
Yeah, I believe so.
So it looks like he's got an answer for every problem. So wherever there was damage, there's damage control.
True, yeah. I mean, it was good that, it was kind of funny because when Grego went, I kind of went, well, it's good that Landon Schaefer is coming, right? And so that.
And you were shocked.
I was a little shocked because everyone told me he was gone. Everyone told me because, like, you know, he's a Fayetteville kid, you know. So yeah, so everyone kind of said, they go, oh, don't be expecting him to come to Arkansas. Don't be expecting him.
Maybe they didn't know him.
I don't know these people. No.
You usually don't pop up and announce you're not going to. He basically said this.
He said it before
the draft.
Yeah, he basically
and that
said it on the first day.
That generally rules out any sort of high. I'm going to get drafted high. I'm going to make a lot of money. It sounded like to me he already decided I don't care.
Right.
I'm coming to college.
And that's why he didn't get drafted. I believe he did get drafted at the end. I believe it was one of the final couple of rounds. But he could have been drafted way higher.
Yes.
He was listed in every list. If you're going through and you're going, man, he's listed as a high prospect. So he probably will sign. But
tell me to be shocked.
Okay, be shocked.
I'm shocked.
Mike, you're cracking me up today. All right, 2 quick final questions. We got to run through these. McCall asks, okay, can any Razorback players drafted in the MLB Draft decide to return next season to improve their draft position? If so, which ones are the most likely candidates?
And he's the only one that we know of.
What, Landon Schaefer?
Yes.
Right. Well, he just withdrew from the draft entirely, so,
But he got drafted.
He did get drafted.
And he's coming. So the point is, yes, any of them could return as long as they don't sign. But
it's not looking too good for any of the other guys.
But it looks like they've lost all of them.
Yeah, exactly. WV Hog Fan asks, do you think the automated ball strike zone used in the MLB All-Star Game has a future in college baseball?
Okay, the first thing is going to have to be adopted in regular season games. And so, you know, and then you're going to, if they do that, you're going to probably have a trial period where everybody then does a poll at the end. They ask all the players, the pitchers, do you like this? So it'll have to go through a trial period. And there's no way college is going to do this until the major leagues decide what they think about it.
Yeah,
but it could happen eventually.
Yeah, and it's still right now such in the early phases of it that even pitchers are figuring out if they like it or not. But I don't know if the college will ever adopt it.
I mean, there's some indication that pitchers actually prefer umpires.
Yes, that they interviewed so many pitchers, and I was reading about this because I was interested to see what people thought about it. And so I was just reading about the whole automated ball strike zone system. And they interviewed like Paul Skeens, they interviewed Clayton Kershaw, and all of them seemed to have the same kind of ideas. Like, okay, it's cool, but we actually like the human element of it. And they said, well, what if they get it wrong? They go, it's part of the game.
Yeah.
It's part of the game. I said, oh, okay, well, I guess
see.
we'll see what happens.
There were some questions we didn't get to, and we're going to answer them next week.
Yes. There are some questions that
There was one about the 69 game again, and it's way too complicated to explain. So next week I'll explain, yes, we got it wrong again.
Can I stick up for you really quickly here, Mike, on why we got it wrong again? Because we talked about it last week. When you're scrubbing through those games, going super fast, there's no constant graphics telling you
we
what's going
somehow
on.
missed a touchdown that occurred in the opening minutes of the game by Arkansas after a Texas fumble.
We fast forwarded through that, so I'm so sorry
That's why
to
we
the
didn't
person.
note it.
That is why we didn't note it, but we will answer that next week. We'll answer
Because there's a fascinating aspect to that to me kind of makes it look like maybe the referees didn't shaft them after all.
Ooh, okay, we're saving it for next week. Save it for next week. We'll talk about it next week, and we'll answer those questions that we didn't get to next Monday. So we will see you next Monday to answer all of your questions.